podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. Sports Social.
The Sports Social Podcast Network is delighted to be supporting this year's Sports Podcast Awards, recognising the sporting podcasts that are top of their game. And now it's your turn to lend your support to your favourite sport podcasts. Voting is open now, which means you can get behind your favourite shows and show your appreciation for the hard graft they put in, keeping you entertained and informed on whatever sport it is you follow. There are 21 categories to vote in, including football, tennis, golf, rugby and loads more, and voting is dead simple. Head to sportspodcastawards.com, vote now and be part of the action.
You're listening to Achtung, Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Well, hello dear listeners, good morning, welcome to Achtung Millwall, the morning after yesterday's rather nondescript 2-1 loss at Carrow Road against Norwich City, a place of course as every good commentator, and they weren't good commentators yesterday on Sky TV, dear listeners, but a place where everyone will tell you we've not won since 1968, well it goes on for another year now, dear listeners, what's that, that's 56 years, dear listeners. David Livermore's second game as caretaker manager was a lot less spectacular, perhaps, than the win against Blackburn last Saturday. In a fit of a rush of blood to the head, I wasn't going to do a show after the Boxing Day match, but I decided when I saw that starting 11, however, dear listeners, to a fit of blood to the head made me put out a tweet to say, send me your voicemails. I mean, I do have a couple of voicemails to finish off today's show. I probably would have left it ordinarily. I probably should have left it because there really wasn't much to report, in truth, from Norwich City yesterday. But the starting 11 is probably an 11, as I've written to myself here, one that would meet popular demand, in truth, for his second game. But Lucas Jensen in goal, back line of Ryan Leonard, Jeff Tanganga, Murray Wallace and Joe Bryan. In front of them, Saville and Denorn. The popular demand part would be Aziz, Esse, Emarku and then Ivanovic starting yesterday up front. In truth, I thought we looked a bit creaky, although that despite the youth of the 11, that certainly the front part of that 11, I thought we looked a bit creaky. Very much a kind of Boxing Day vibes, gone a long way on a day where you want to be at home having your turkey and yesterday's bubble and squeak. We were at Norwich playing and I just got a sense that there wasn't much of the same drive and spirit that we saw against Blackburn yesterday. Well done to the travelling public. I haven't got any numbers on how many Millwall fans went up for the game. It wasn't an easy place to get to yesterday, so most would have been driving. So hats off to everybody that went up there. But as I say, it was a creaky start, and the first half really was, we were clinging on at times. A goal down inside 3 minutes, a scaffolding goal from a right-sided cross. We seemed to be quite open on that left side. Tell me something you haven't heard before, listeners. That, of course, was the Murray Wallace, Joe Bryan side of affairs. Norwich moved down their right, our left. Allowed plenty of space for a cross, and it went into a kind of a melee inside the 6-yard box and scuffled home. It was quite hard with the camera angle to see who got on the end of it, but in real time anyway, does it matter? Probably wasn't an awful lot of more we could have done once the ball was put into that danger zone. The essence of it would have been to kill the cross at source, and that didn't happen. So 1-0 down inside 3 minutes, and you kind of knew that you were in for a long afternoon. And Norwich looking quite nippy. We were looking like we're still having yesterday's hangover from yesterday's overindulgences. Another chance, should have been a goal really on 5 minutes. Poor defensive work, a shot wide when probably they should have done, should have scored, should have hit the target. I thought we were looking very shaky in this opening 10 minutes. There were moments. I've got a beautiful pass from Esse to Emarku on 11. Unfortunately, that did mean that Emarku pulled up. I think he might have done his hamstring, so we await with trepidation the news on Idemo Emarku, who left the field injured on 12 minutes, bringing in Duncan Watmore. And immediately we looked a lot less, certainly a lot less pacey going forwards and a lot less dangerous in truth. A nice Joe Bryan run, but yeah, again, a poor cross on 16 minutes. How many times this season have we said the same thing about the poor quality of our crossing? He is our man for crosses, Joe Bryan, but yesterday, as often, unfortunately, the quantity and quality of the crossing has been our downfall, and yesterday was no different. We continue to look panicky, in truth, in defence, especially on that left side. Norwich really dominant. We were clinging on as the half wore on. We did get a decent phase of play around the 30-minute mark. Another wayward shot from Joe Bryan. I'm not particularly picking him out. I don't think anyone really came out of yesterday's game with any great glory, apart from Lucas Jensen, who I will come back to in the second half. The second goal was a gutty one. It's another scrappy goal from close, this time from a left-sided cross on 38 minutes. We didn't do very well in defence in that first half yesterday. We paid a price. Some might say you pay a price for open football, and that's really what we were trying to do, pushing forwards more. It was probably where Saturday's game we rode our luck and we won out. Yesterday we didn't really make any luck for ourselves. We just played, in a very creaking, sluggish style through that first half and found ourselves 2-0 down at the break. Tough first half, in truth. 2 scrappy goals, but no more than Norwich deserved. We needed to change something at half time. I couldn't really see what that might be, but the second half opened up with more of the same, really. They hit the post on after a move out of defence on 54 minutes. That was crossing from the left. I think their striker kind of hit it from a tight angle on the right side, and it came off the post. I mean, again, lucky break. That could have been 3-0, and if 2-0 wasn't a good time to go home, then 3-0 certainly would have been. We did well though, and SA took a nice chance on 64. A nice little daisy cut from an Aziz pass inside, just from the edge of the penalty area. Nice finish, 2-1, and that really did enliven matters. We actually started to claw our way back into a game that, in truth, we looked well out of for the bulk of the first half, and certainly a good chunk of the start of the second. But we did hang on. Triple substitution, bold. Livers is bold on 75 minutes, if nothing else. Wintle, Honeyman and Bradshaw coming in for Saville. I'm still scrambled up myself. Saville, Aziz and Denor on 75. More attacking intent. We actually looked to press forwards and try and get that equaliser. A great save by Jensen on 85, though, as they broke out of our pressing. They came forwards, and a brilliant close-range save from a header. Goal saver, really. Kept us in the game. Dear old Lord Macaulay Langstaff had the chance to equalise it on 89 minutes when he shot high over the bar from the kind of left side of the penalty area. And that was largely it. The game got away from us in that first half, and despite a nice claw back and some bold, substitution choices, perhaps going all out late on to try and get our way back into it, it would finish 2-1. I'm going to go man of the match. I'm going to go Jensen for that save. No one else really covered themselves in much glory, dear listeners. And I suppose it's the eternal Neil Harris debate. The same old story. If you take the kids and you play open football, you're going to get hurt at championship level. I'm sure. I'm sure that point would have crossed Neil's mind somewhere deep in the Essex countryside. Myself, I don't know. I mean, it's always going to be difficult. No other Millwall team has gone to Carrow Road since 1968, 54 years. 54 years, sorry. And done anything there. So I'm not going to particularly hold that against this young side. The loss of Imarku, we hope, will not be for very long. He does bring pace and power, which is something that the team really does need. SA combined with Imarku is a nice prospect, and Aziz obviously is a storyline that's written itself this season. Up front, Ivanovic was a little bit pushed around, a little bit like a little boy. up against some, substantial championship level defenders. So he's got a long way to go, I think, to be a regular starting centre forward. We didn't see any of the finishing or anything really from him yesterday. We did see it on Saturday, so he's going to be, building consistency is going to be Ivanović's key. So there we are. That was Christmas, as the song says. And what have you done? Yesterday, Mill didn't really do enough. Interesting photo at half time, just to close my little review here. Phil Clark posted a photo, long range photo, a zoomed photo probably on his iPhone, of Livermore and the coaching team at half time, not in the dressing room apparently not doing any kind of half time pep talk, but sat in the bench seemingly talking tactics, which is interesting. Whether someone else, whether Gallen's Steve Gallen's in the dressing room doing that, I don't know. Whether that's someone else replied, it might have been this kind of American sports idea that the coaching team get their storyline together before they go into the dressing room to give it. I don't know. We did improve in the second half, so whatever got said from whatever direction, whatever the backdrop is, I don't know. We did improve in the second half as it wore along, certainly. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it finished 2-1. The managerial situation is an odd one. We do make a bit of a meal of appointing new manager. I'm going to guess that no one wants to get it wildly wrong, like with Joe Edwards. But we really could do with an experienced manager, i.e. if it's going to be Alex Neil, let's get it done. Whether the working arrangements are going to be the sticking point, I don't know. It does seem to be dragging on when you look at other clubs that seem to be much faster and much more to the point in their managerial appointments. I don't know. That's just reading between maybe speculation and reading between the lines, etc., etc. So then, there it is. That's my review of yesterday's 2-1 loss. On to Coventry on Sunday. I'm hoping to get up to Coventry. We'll see. Hopefully, if all goes well, I'll be up there for that one. But now I'm just going to play us out with the voice notes received. Big thank you to everyone that sent in voice notes, just a few of them today, dear listeners. Short edition of Achtung Millwall, and we will be back after the Coventry game, hopefully with more... although they won 4-0 yesterday. So anyway, hopefully we'll have a happier edition after the trip to the Coventry Building Society Arena on Sunday. So until then, from me, Nick Hart, happy Christmas. Arrivederci Millwall.
Hello?
Hi Nick, hi listeners. John Rankin just calling in after the 2-1 defeat at Carrow Road. And yeah, a lot to take in on that game, really. It was a cold old... afternoon up at Carrow Road, and we stood there, two of 800. And where do you start with that? Firstly, I've got to say, looking at the game itself, I think we were set up completely wrong for that game, to be honest with you. Far too light in the midfield. We played a 4-2-4, and that's quite an aggressive formation to play. And you've got to have the right type of players, and I don't think we've got them. And that's not to in any way denigrate the midfield too, but I think they were completely overrun. When we used to play a 4-2-4, we had different type of players. We had Telly Sheringham and Terry Hurlock, and Les Briley, and it was a different type of football. And where we set up at Carrow Road today, we were just inviting a quick break, and we got sucked into it. Angus Gunn would hold the ball underneath his foot, and rather than, remain, say, Milo, Ivanović and Duncan Watmore or Aziz, having the sort of experience really just not to press, just to sit deep and block and let Norwich come onto us. Our patience broke, and one of the front four, if you like, broke ranks and tried to chase the ball down, and then they were away. And their 2 goals were really scrappy. It was just percentage football they played, make some space in the middle of the park because they had an extra man. I don't know if they were playing like a 3-4-3 or something like that, but they definitely had an extra man in the middle of the park. Maybe they were playing a 4-3-3. And we were overrun, and they basically just played the ball out wide, low hard cross into the middle, both their goals, goalmouth scramble, and back of the net twice, which is a shame because, we didn't deserve to give away goals like that. I've got to say they came down our left, and our back four defensively is very unbalanced at the moment, and I know it came in for a lot of criticism, but you would have to look at playing a back five here at the moment because we've got such an unbalanced lineup. If we go back four, we've got Murray, Wallace and Joe Bryan, and there's no way Joe Bryan is good defensively as Danny Mack is. And then you got Jaffet and Ryan on the other side, and they're probably the two best defenders in the championship. They'd walk. Both those would get a place in any team in the championship. I'm sure they would. So we've got a very unbalanced setup, and I think, the manager's really, the caretaker manager's showing his naivety to set us up like that, I've got to say. That's typical caretaker manager tactics, and what he needs to do is set us up differently. He needs to bring in Sean Hutchinson or Wes Harding. Danny Mack is injured, and we got Callum Scanlon as well who's injured, so that left back problem is going to be a problem. So what you do is you maybe go for a back five, to help Joe Bryan, and you have three in the midfield and two up front, and you just get the wing backs pushing up as hard as they can. And I think that's where we've got to go for the time being before we get some more defenders in. Our frailties are definitely at the back. Moving to the front, the bright sparks for me today, I think is, Ivanovic is. you got to stick with him. I think it's unfair to pull him off at half time. You've got to give him 60 minutes at least, because if you compare him to Langstaff is a lot busier and probably has got a bit more of a feel for English football in that he can chase down a bit quicker and get on the ball. But Ivanovic has got 100% record, 2 chances, 2 goals. He's got a killer instinct. That boy will not miss if he's in front of the goal. And what he's got to learn to do is stay inside the 2 front, stay inside the goalposts, not go out too wide, and stay around, get on that centre spot as much as he can, and he will score lots of goals. It's something that Benica Phoebe used to do. Benica Phoebe, master at standing between the sticks and scoring goals. 15 goals that kid got for us, and he got slagged off, and there you go. That's, ridiculous, isn't it? What we would do for a 15-goal attacker now, right? So we got the makings there. I thought we were hard done by. I think our manager let us down, I've got to say, at Carrow Road. I think the boys played as hard as they could, but they needed an extra man in midfield. They were set up wrong, and I think that's one that David Linmore's got to take squarely on the chin there. Anyway, Aziz scored a beautiful goal, best goal of the match, and I think we were hard done by there not to come away with something. So we go on to Coventry next match. Come on, you Lions. Hi Nick, hi listeners. Quick postscript, edit to my voicemail. It was obviously SA that scored the wonderful goal for us at Carrow Road. Cheers.
Hello Nick, happy Christmas. It's Barnsley here. Merry Christmas to you and your listeners, and Mr. Avery as well, the gang. Just quick call to say how disappointed it was today. We went there with a, after the game against Blackburn, I thought, there could be a result here. We could, reverse the hoodoo. We've been there for many years, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And the first half defensive display was awful, absolutely awful. And I was slagging off Brian for not getting out to that fellow on the right. And if you look at it, Murray, I think, was probably had his worst game since he's been backed, and he should have pushed Brian across because he got caught out ball watching, and and that was it. The marquee went off, which is a big problem because the player that we have there, after just 90 minutes, we thought he could be our, saviour coming on, and he does play well with SA, but he went off injured and he looked devastated. He was we never recovered. We were poor after that, and defensively we were awful. I think Norwich could have gone up a couple more gears, but the quality on the ball, they're so comfortable. When we get the ball, we're not comfortable at all. We don't. There's not any one of those players that has that ball and can unlock defences, like they can, and better teams in that league. And unfortunately, we hung in there, which is the most important thing, and we're good at that. And second half, we come out, we were a lot better, a lot better, but still not enough quality for me. And we went out there, and I think we were very, very poor on the ball. And I think they really showed us what we should be doing as a team and getting that ball in certain areas. But we're not good enough, and we know that. But we battled to the end, which was great. And I thought, the best player was probably Jensen second half, but still, yeah, it wasn't a good first half, and that cost us today. But we didn't get hammered, so that should be something to be celebrated, I imagine. But still, I still think Norwich could have gone up a couple of gears. But did we have them rattled? Not really, to be honest. But we go again. We're still looking for our manager, and it's disappointing. But I really felt that we could have done more today, and I think defensively we wasn't great. And I think today if you look at all across the pitch, we struggled. And unfortunately, these few games now, we need the players back, and we haven't got the players we're a small team squad wise, and I think that will tell in the next this period, because we are going to be up against it, and we're playing Coventry are flying now, and I think we've really got to get through this difficult period, get the manager in, and start moving on, and we need some quality in that midfield. We've got two stoppers, Denore and Saville, who are good players, but they need someone just in front of them to just unlock that defence. And everyone's screaming for two up front. Yes, I would love that as well, but defensively, you can see why we're playing only one up front, and we defend from the front to the back. And today, it wasn't our day, but we didn't get hammered like we normally do, so that's a result. But still, it's a long season. We need a manager in ASAP, but make the bloody right choice, please. We don't want to do what happened last time. Anyway, mate, take care. See you later.
Hello?
Fucking joke. Fucking Merry Christmas. Fucking Boxing Day. Nick Hart. Bobby T. It's not even about fuming, mate. No manager. 5 in midfield. Fucking gutless. No passion. Wallace. Fucking retire. Murray Wallace. 5 in midfield. Gutless. No passion. Nothing, mate. If we're not careful, we're going down. Game over. Fucking Canaries. Yeah, good afternoon, Nick Hart, Bobby T, live from London. Boxing Day, sorry for fuming and shouting, but let's be honest, no manager, no ideas, no midfield, been the whole lot of them. We're 2-0 down, but you're right, I didn't really expect us to beat Norwich. We never get it up there, the Canaries. 2-0 down, I mean, you never know. If we pull one back early, could have been 3-2. But on a serious note, on to Oxford. We're losing that one, Carrow. Bye for now, Bobby T. Nick Hart, Bobby T, SA 2-1. Come on, Millwall. We're back in it. Nick Hart, Bobby T, full time from Carrow Road, Canaries Island, whatever you want to call it. Remain SA, hang your head in the bright lights. Hold your head up. Remain SA, star boy, man of the match. But Ivanovic, yeah, Ivanovic, for me, fuck. I'm sorry for my language. Absolutely, yeah. Scores header, give him time. Langstaff, you can fuck off back to Notts County, if you ask me. And just dead team in Wallace, midfield. Alex Neil, you got a Preston today if you're watching. I don't know, mate. But we lost 2-1, brave Lions. But yeah, Oxford now. Mid-table, got to beat Gary Rowett. We're not going to. Ivanovic is not cutting it for me. Yeah, he scored a header. Langstaff, what do you bring? Bye for now. We need to buy in January a proper striker. I mean, my last words, Nick Hart, and Achtung, Happy New Year. But I'll tell you now. Nick Hart, Bobby T, Millwall Football Club, it's a message for you. Dog shite. You need a fucking clear out.
Achtung, Millwall.
Huge thank you to John, to Barnesy, and of course to Bobby T there, and his inimitable style there, summing up yesterday's game at Norwich. I'm going to move along from that, dear listeners. It is Christmas, and I thought we might pull a little Christmas cracker, and out pops the subject of Christmas Day football. Now, this was quite a normal thing, dear listeners, from Victorian times, really. I had a couple of articles online, quite good articles. I've got one here from 90 Minutes. There's another really in-depth one that I found by 442 magazine about the whole subject of Christmas Day football. And it was seen as a regular, normal thing from the Victorian origins of the modern game. Playing games on Christmas Day, normally derby football, a bit like what we've kind of evolved into with Boxing Day, but there was a time where playing on Christmas morning was seen as part of the routine and playing local sides. The last time that Millwall played on a Christmas Day, and I'll stand to be corrected, I couldn't find any other fixtures after this one. The last time we played on Christmas Day, dear listeners, was on the 25th of December 1958, a 1-0 loss at home at Coldblow Lane in front of 9,260. I would have been, I was not yet born. I'd been -2 at that stage. It was quite the custom back then. They did it a lot of playing a home game and then the reverse fixture the week after. This game against Chester was at home at Coldblow Lane on the 25th, a 0-1 loss. We then went to Chester for the reverse fixture on the 27th, so just 2 days later. That was a 0-0 draw. Very similar crowd up at Chester, actually. 9,260 at Millwall, 9,373 up at Chester. No press report, unfortunately, that I could find for the home game, the Christmas Day 1958 game, the 0-1 loss. But I do have a match report for the reverse fixture played on the 27th. This is from the Sunday People, Sunday 28th of December 1958. Millwall rescue a point. This is the 4th division football, by the way, dear listeners. Millwall rescue a point. Chester 0, Millwall 0. A strong Millwall defence with goalkeeper Reg Davis outstanding and weak finishing from Chester saved the Londoners a point. Time and again, the short passing Chester forwards worked the ball into the Mill goalmouth, but they failed to take their chances. Mill had lucky escapes when fullbacks Roy Brady and Harold Redmond each kicked off the line. Mill's attacks were spasmodic and carried little real threat apart from some good work by left winger Alan Crawford. Mill's best effort was reserved for 2 minutes before the end when a rising shot from inside left Ron Heckman brought the best save of the game from Chester's deputy goalkeeper Keith Griffiths, and that's it. That's the Sunday People. No report from the Christmas Day game. Not an awful lot of press. The Scottish papers used to publish on Christmas Day. No English papers published on Christmas Day. Reading the 2 articles, looked at 90 Minutes and 442, as I've said, it was quite the norm for there to be public transport on Christmas Day up until the early 60s, when the modern idea of it being a complete, total shutdown public holiday took hold. And with Boxing Day, they used to have a Sunday service on a Boxing Day. I think you still get a form of reduced service nowadays, so some measure of public transport becomes possible on Boxing Day. Not so going to Norwich yesterday, as we've said already. But certainly at one point it was seen as quite normal for Christmas Day to feature football and for people to travel to and from games. The 90 Minutes article mentions that the last full programme, or the last fixture played on a Christmas Day, was in 1965. And Mill, as I've said, played in 1958. Mill's team for that game, let's have a quick look at the Mill team there. So that will feature Davis in goal, Redmond, Brady, Humphreys, Harper as Dave Harper, Rawson, Joe Broadfoot, Hutton, Moyes, Heckman and Crawshaw. Now I've dug out some details on Reg Davis, goalkeeper, famous name. Reg Davis, goalkeeper 1958 to 1963, 218 games, born in 1933 in Tipton. He passed away in 2019 in St Aubin. His career took him West Bromwich Albion as an amateur, national service for the Royal Artillery. He then played at Walsall, Millwall in 1958, then Romford and Leyton Orient after playing at the Den. This is from Neil's Mill A to Z book, and I like this little pen picture they've posted here of Reg. The muscular Reg Davis was once suspended following a brawl with a Workington forward when home fans jumped the fence to assault him. He made for the dressing room without asking the referee if he could leave the pitch, so he got into trouble for that. An excellent goalkeeper, one of Mill's greatest since the Second World War. He arrived at the club from Walsall for £500 after the Football League initially refused to accept his registration when the Saddlers declined to release him. He won the 4th Division title with Millwall in 1962, and after retirement worked at Jersey Airport for British Airways and British Midland. During his stay at the Den, he also ran a paraffin business with Joe Broadfoot. He later lived in Thailand and Cambodia. Running a paraffin, I have an idea. When I first started going, I'm sure Harry Cripps and Dennis Burnett went into business together of some sort. I remember seeing something in the programme about players that would deliver stuff like, I'm sure it's greengrocery, but paraffin business for your heaters, kids, back in the era when, paraffin heaters were the thing. Less so nowadays. We've all gone for gas central heating, haven't we? So there we are, Reg Davis. Another name mentioned there was Ron Heckman. Ronald Ernest Heckman, a forward, 104 games, 26 goals. So again, as you know, during the 4th Division era of the late 1950s, he was born in Peckham in 1929, died in Bracknell. 1990s career took him Millwall, Leyton Orient, Bromley, Palace, and Bedford Town. Peckham-born Ron was an England amateur international and played for the Athenian League and Middlesex Wanderers before turning professional at a comparatively late age of 25, that is late, with Leyton Orient, where he won a 3rd Division South title with Leyton Orient. He also won the FA Cup Amateur Cup with Bromley in 1949. He arrived at Den to beef up the forward line, but was used more in midfield. He helped Crystal Palace win promotion to Division 2 later. In later life, Ron worked at the Midland Bank in Threadneedle Street in the city until he passed away after suffering a heart attack. Ron Heckman, 1929 to 1990. There we are. Very different type of football back then. You can't imagine, I don't know, Haaland and I don't know, Carl Walker setting up a paraffin delivery business as a sideline, can you, listeners? If only they would, that would be wonderful. If only we had those days back again. Why am I getting all rosy tinted? The idea of playing on Christmas Day. How would you feel about Christmas Day football? Dear listeners, you'd never get to and from the game nowadays, would you? You'd have to be entirely a climate kind of disaster. Everyone driving to and from the game. There we are. So yeah, Christmas Day football, once upon a time quite normal. Now something that seems so remote and distant that you wouldn't imagine it. A little snippet just to take us out of the misery, hopefully, of yesterday's 2-1 loss. On to Coventry on Sunday. Like I've said already, listeners, I'm hoping to be up there, so do send me your voice notes post Coventry. Let's hope for a better outcome from that trip to the Coventry Building Society Arena. Big thank you to everyone that's contributed voice notes to today's show. Thank you for your listening, and Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. Sports Social.
The Sports Social Podcast Network is delighted to be supporting this year's Sports Podcast Awards, recognising the sporting podcasts that are top of their game. And now it's your turn to lend your support to your favourite sport podcasts. Voting is open now, which means you can get behind your favourite shows and show your appreciation for the hard graft they put in, keeping you entertained and informed on whatever sport it is you follow. There are 21 categories to vote in, including football, tennis, golf, rugby and loads more, and voting is dead simple. Head to sportspodcastawards.com, vote now and be part of the action.